Olivetti Historical Archives Association. This association was founded in 1998 on the initiative of Olivetti in order to promote the collection, reorganization, preservation, study, and promotion of the vast archival heritage on the company's history and individuals of the Olivetti family. The activity of the association is also to provide assistance and advice to scholars and researchers working in cultural events, exhibitions, and conferences. I'll hand it over to Emanuele from here.
Hello, World Design Organization community. We are very happy and very proud to be here with you in this fantastic World Industrial Design Day 2000. We are in Ivrea, in Olivetti Historical Archive Associations, and we share with you what does it mean for us leadership in Olivetti view. With us, there are many people, and I ask to Pier to say something to you. He knows you very well.
Sure, thank you, Gaetano. First of all, good morning and good afternoon, also from my side. Happy Industrial Design Day from, let's say, a sunny Ivrea. It is my pleasure to be here with Gaetano for this important celebration. We have to say that this talk aims to address the topic of leadership using a design and business perspective. Specifically, that one of Olivetti company, a very well-known brand, as Gaetano said earlier, famous for the production of typewriting around the world and for the contribution made to culture by Adriano Olivetti, the son of the founder of the company. Performing leadership in an Olivetti company means putting the individual at the center, enhancing the company's capital, let's say, and boosting products and skills, but always with a healthy and honest relationship between the territory on one side and the industry on the other side. We want to discuss all these topics with good friends, first of all, and with two experts. I want to introduce them very quickly. Emanuele Cappelli. Hi, Emanuele.
Hello to everyone.
Emanuele is an Italian designer and the founder of the Cappelli Identity Studio. This is a firm that carries out multidisciplinary projects between design and strategy. And they also came up recently with a book entitled Dynamic Brands to return, let's say, Emanuele's methodology for a brand communication. Stefano Zordan, ciao Stefano, is from Ivrea, the city of Olivetti, and he studied at Harvard University in the United States, where he learned the practice of adaptive leadership directly from its founders. Then he came back to Italy, and he came back to Ivrea, and he studied spreading, let's say, this important culture. So I want to give the floor to Gaetano. Please, Gaetano.
Thank you. I start with the first question to Stefano. Stefano, in 2019, you co-founded the OLI, the Adriano Olivetti Leadership Institute, with the aim to promote the Olivetti experience as a virtual approach to the leadership. And let's say to the leadership, not only for business, but for people and for all of us, working and not working as a way of life. This year, the WDO suggested several topics to inspire participants, including the concepts of community empowerment, mentorship, and teamwork and collaboration. Why Olivetti concept of leadership is so strong, is so peculiar for you, and which of these themes you think can describe better the work you do every day, not only in Ivrea, but let's say all around Italy and not only.
Thank you so much for this invitation and this opportunity. I was really pleased to, when I discovered that, these two topics, Olivetti and leadership, have been put together for this occasion, because that's exactly our daily work. A few years ago, when I came back to Italy and I wanted to bring back these ideas of adaptive leadership that I learned at Harvard and that I have found particularly powerful to help communities work on their problems, I was looking for an experience, an Italian experience, or an Italian language, an Italian vocabulary that would sound familiar to a lot of people. And also given my personal biography, the place where I come from, which is, as you said, Ivrea, I found in the example, in the experience, in the concrete experience of Adriano Olivetti, what I was looking for. And that's why we decided to name, and we got permission to name the institute, this leadership institute, after him. But why Adriano Olivetti? That's a question that I get asked every day. Well, because I personally think, and not only me, but many people, that there hasn't been in Italy, and maybe, and there are very few around the world, example of somebody, of a community that really embodied this idea of leadership as empowerment, as Adriano and his community did in Ivrea in the last century. That's probably one of the reasons why UNESCO recognized the Olivetti area of Ivrea as a World Heritage Site. I really believe that's one of the reasons. So we couldn't think of a better example of application for what we were trying to do in Italy. So that's why, in the midst of COVID, we decided to open the institute in Ivrea, in a very specific building, which is the library, the Olivetti Library, which is a building that was imagined in the 1950s to host all sorts of activities that promoted knowledge, empowerment, learning. And for us, knowledge, empowerment, learning are fundamental ingredients of the work of leadership. According to this approach that we try to work with, adaptive leadership, leadership is exactly learning about complex problems. So helping communities, and it can be students, managers, teachers, a church, a territory, any sort of community, learn about their most complex challenges of adaptation, we call them, challenges in which the DNA of the group has to be retaught, has to be reframed, repackaged, sifted, and that's what we try to do and help communities do in Ivrea. So we have people coming to Ivrea, experience the Olivetti area, and in that, surrounded by that very special environment, we have them reflect on the most pressing challenges for their communities. It was not easy, and it's not easy to show people that this work is not only for companies, but it's something very civic. Leadership as a civic activity. So it's an activity for every citizen. Every citizen should be put in the conditions, and that's what Adriano Olivetti tried to do in his own time. Every citizen should be put in the conditions to have time and energy and resources to dedicate to these adaptive challenges. That often doesn't happen because we are, taken daily by technical problems. Adriano Olivetti was a person that knew very well that not everything can be solved through technical tools. People need to stop, think, read in order to solve their problems better. And I think you could also see that in the design objects that he produced. They were thought very carefully. So the leadership implications of his work produced beautiful objects. That was just one of the results of his work. But that there are many more results which we can still experience in Ivrea, in the culture of the place, which even 70 years later still remains.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Maybe, if you don't mind, Gaetano, I will ask something to Emanuele. So, as we said earlier, Emanuele, you are basically the leader of a design firm that we have to say that's basically based in Rome. You have also a spin-off in Torino. We have also to add that you work a lot also with the Olivetti company and with the Olivetti Historical Archive. So what have you learned from Olivetti's values, and how do you think a designer can embody and apply these values with a positive impact on society?
Yeah. Hello, Pier, and to everyone here today. I'm very happy to be here and speak to you about my passion for design and for Olivetti. Yes, I'm an Italian designer. I draw everything. And from these drawings, some things come to life. And so, with Cappelli Identity Design, we take on all kinds of design and communication challenges, project after project. From strategies to brands, from print media to digital, and from exhibit design to product. All of this is particularly fascinating for me, but I never imagined this could become my way of making a living and my profession. Obviously, how and what we design is based on the perspectives we have on life and our values. This is why we take Olivetti's values to heart. We love Olivetti's values and what they stand for. Olivetti symbolizes the culture of democratic design. The central idea was to share the wealth of progress. Adriano Olivetti created a timeless model of respect for people and their lives. An industrial model built on sharing knowledge, looking into the future and being effective. Designing for Olivetti is to be a part of these values and to express them in our work. The values of Olivetti about the diversity, about the community and the culture are already a part of what it means to be Italian. Here in Italy, we have so much beauty around us, so many different places and historical periods right before our eyes every day. They inspire our curiosity and awaken our sense of aesthetics. And we share this other great fortune with Olivetti, living in Italy. Unlike the image people have of Italy, this is a country of diversity. Italy is different people from different traditions and religions who have come to make this home. Olivetti has created many iconic objects in the world that have become part of the history of many families. Objects that have become part of the life of society. That's what design should be doing. Design should be useful for humanity, not just for the company's balance sheet. I remember Adriano Olivetti said, "I think about the factory for people, not people for the factory." He said, work should be a joy, and it's still a torment for many. These simple principles bring the role of the person back to the core of things in company dynamics. In this way, you can develop projects that have high school, aesthetic, and functional meaning. In after more than 60 years, the name Adriano Olivetti is still loved by young people. It's because his ideas still offer hope. things can still change. Olivetti's leadership showed the world how it's done. I want to read. The word utopia is often the most convenient way to dismiss something. One doesn't have the desire, capacity, or courage to do. A dream feels like a dream until you start working on it. And then it can become something infinitely bigger. So, Cappelli Identity Design was born professionally from these same ideals, but from more humble roots than Olivetti. We opened our studio over 10 years ago with a series of failures and victories, but we have stayed true to our human values working in the world of design. And we have said no sometimes to not betray our way of thinking about design. Thanks to this consistency, we now have 2 locations in Italy, and we work with clients all over the world. The main studio is in Rome, walking distance from the Colosseum, actually. We are in a wonderful building from the 1800s. Just walking to work every day, you can breathe in all of the history and the beauty of the art and architecture of Rome. The second studio is in Turin, near Ivrea, birthplace of Adriano Olivetti. Our studio is inside an incredible industrial complex called OGR from the 1800s that was reborn in the 1990s and is now a tech hub for everyone. We share that space with other innovative companies. We work on more than 100 projects a year, paying attention to social and environmental sustainability. We have been working with Olivetti since 2015. We created the Olivetti Design Contest dedicated to students from universities all over the world. We wanted to be able to discover young talent with this project and give them professional universities. We also designed for posters for the contest over the years that you can see in museums in Italy and New York. We also do as many cultural initiatives as we can, like exhibitions, talks, and conferences to spread the Olivetti word. We take on lots of cultural projects every year through our collaboration with Olivetti and with the Olivetti Historical Archives. One of the last things we did was the virtual online museum and the OTL22 typeface, a print character in homage to Lettera 22, and Olivetti's iconic typewriter. Designing a typeface that anyone can use to write down our own thoughts brings to mind Olivetti's metaphor of the bell. Sorry, I read. Everyone can ring his own bell without fear or hesitation. It only has a voice for a free world. This is really just another reason to believe in his philosophy. Consumers don't exist today. People exist. A company has to speak to people. A company today should not be trying to create trends. We should be creating innovative projects. With this idea in mind, we developed the dynamic brand methodology. It is a methodology that I have been teaching in Italian, Spanish, and US universities since 2003. The dynamic brand methodology brings the company closer to its target by building an authentic relationship. It is a new way to communicate that replaces the traditional hierarchical structure. With the dynamic brand, the organization architecture of communication changes. The up-down framework no longer exists. Logo, corporate identity, below the line, advertising, digital, etc. What happens with the dynamic brand is that the communication architecture becomes truly integrated. This is something that is happening in many industries, but there is often a lot of resistance. The dynamic brand is a circular framework. At the center are the corporate values and the visual identity system. The logo doesn't have the same responsibility it had in the past. It works together with other media in a dialogue, each aspect communicating consistently with the other. In this way, the investment and the budget a project has is optimized. This is one of reasons why the dynamic identity is recognizable even in the absence of a logo. So many times we ask ourselves, when does identity really exist? Identity exists when there's diversity. For example, there's no shadow without light, and there's no light without shadow. Without its opposite, light too would be not perceived. Let's think about the beauty of opposites. Black and white contain infinite color nuances, like a window opening onto the world. Diversity brings to mind evolution. The more we know, the more objective vision we have of the world, of what we prefer, what we can prefer, of the things we choose, so we can build our true identity. Have you ever taken a trip? When you come home, you are the same person, but something feels different, something has changed. Your life, your feelings have been enhanced by the trip. You are richer. There is a new nuance thanks to the new landscape, those new colors, those new flavors, those new eyes. Something was stimulated in you that was dormant. For this, identity is in diversity. And for this, a brand or a personal brand have the same principle. I'm very surprised during my workshops around the world when young people under 25 years old remember the Olivetti brand, thanks to Adriano Olivetti. I think that ideas are stronger than ephemeral forms. They are an end to themselves. This points to our greatest potential. The concept makes the design. Thanks to Adriano Olivetti and thanks to all the designers that took project for people, thinking about making a better world. Thanks.
Thank you, Emanuele. Very clear and very inspiring. I think I would ask a quick question, the same for both of you, Stefano and Emanuele, thinking to all the people from around the world that are listening to us. If speaking about design, speaking about architecture, what do you suggest to them if they decide to come in Italy and to discover Olivetti world? Ivrea for sure, and then Venezia, Matera, Napoli, what else? Stefano?
Well, I'm biased, but I would recommend, a trip to Pozzuoli, which is not only very close to Naples and all the history and the art and the architecture there, but it's also an Olivetti location, the famous factory overlooking the sea. So, you can get a bit of both antiquity and Olivetti. Let me just, can I just say one super short thing? I'm so glad that Emanuele mentioned the bell, which was the symbol of the Olivetti community movement. Recently, reading an American book about leadership, in that book, they were mentioning the bell as the perfect symbol for leadership. And I said, wow, Adriano knew it already 70 years ago, because the bell does two things that are very complementary and very central to the work of leadership. The bell is about convocation, so calling people to do the work, or calling people to look beyond, as Emanuele was saying. But the bell also gives you some sort of a sense of a protection. So Adriano was not putting people out there without giving them a sort of protection for the work ahead of them. So I really like this parallel between leadership studies today and what Adriano was doing 70 years ago in practice, in reality, in his community. So thank you for mentioning that symbol.
Thank you. And for you, Emanuele?
Yes, I'm in according with Stefano. And today, I don't know what will be the new center, no? I think there's a virtual world can be changed, the kind to collaborating, the kind to work together, and some from the small city to the virtual city. I think this is the present and will be the future.
Thank you. On my side, I suggest to all the people listening to us to come, for example, in Venice, to have a look and to see the only shop, the only Olivetti shop already existing in Piazza San Marco, because it's something really nice and really to be seen. Okay, I think that we are closing this Olivetti design talk. It's a long series that we started a couple of years ago, before COVID and with COVID, and we had also some live session, for example, in Expo Dubai with Pier and with many other guests. I want only to underline the importance for Olivetti and for Olivetti Historical Archive about design. Design today, nowadays, it means not only for products, but we speak also about user experience. We speak about design in many other ways. And so it's something that in what we believe since the beginning, and is something that we want to share in terms of experience with all the world. Pier, for sure you want to add something?
Yes, of course. Thank you. First of all, I really appreciate it. Also, the metaphor of the bell as we say, the so-called leadership attitude. So actually, it's great metaphor. And regarding the places, yes, of course, Venice, Naples, but the main place has to be Ivrea. So we strongly recommend maybe the people that are reaching out to us right now to come to Italy and to visit this amazing city, because you will see several architectures in just few hectares. Architecture designed by very famous architects, Italian architects, such as Figini Pollini, Gardella, and other architects. But of course, you will have a flavor also of the culture of Olivetti. So we strongly recommend to come to Ivrea and also to visit the archive. The archive is
Kuuletko
really
sinä mitään?
Joo, tai siis en kuule esitystä, ne varmaan katkaisten meiltä.
En minäkään.
Researchers who want to deepen the research on Olivetti, so we wait for you here. It's a great place. Thank you, Gaetano.
And to close this quick conversation with you, we invite you to follow all of us on our social. It means for Olivetti, for Archive, but also for the OLI Institute and for Emanuele Cappelli and for Pier with the Politecnico, with Turin Politecnico. We share every day something that is for us is culture, that is linked to every one of us with different point of view, is something like a kaleidoscopio. With Pier, we produce a book that is Kaleidoscopio Olivetti. Nice job. And everyday storytelling is something that is coherent with this. So thanks for us. Thanks to all of you, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Emanuele.
Thank you to you. Ciao.
Thank you, Stefano. Ciao, Gaetano.
Thank you.